Hello YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors. On this episode of Toys Are the Way, we will be taking a look at another character from the most recent wave of vintage collection figures, Darth Revan from Knights of the Old Republic, another highly requested and long overdue figure in the vintage collection. What's also fantastic about this is we're getting his very popular Sith look, but we're also getting the Jedi version, which I reviewed recently. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to drop a like on this video and remember to subscribe. But with that being said, let's take a closer look at Darth Revan. Taking a look at the card back, we have the Star Wars logo followed by the Knights of the Old Republic and then Darth Revan on a red name pill color, which looks fantastic with that red Sith lightsaber layered just beneath it. And then, of course, we have a fantastic image of Revan here, looking really good with all that red light glowing on him, and just very Sith, and I like how it contrasts with the blue and purple tones in the background. Also, the Kenner logo down below, and just a very nice card image. And then, of course, we have this all new from the ground up figure, which looks pretty good on this bubble. Taking a look at the back, he is VC 301 in the line, and it has Darth Revan followed with a small description of the character and the Vintage Collection logo down below. Darth Revan is long overdue in the Vintage Collection, and I'm very happy to see this gaming character added to the line, and I really look forward to putting him on my carded collection with all my other gaming figures. And taking a look at Darth Revan out of the packaging, he is a really good looking figure, and I'm very happy to finally add this one to the collection. The thing I really appreciate here is all these like paint deco hits all over his torso. I really like that copper color. It's got a nice metallic sheen to it, and then just like the silver detailing on it looks really nice. And you can also see all the different like sculpting hits that have that silver paint application. It just brings out a lot of those details, and I think that looks really nice. Also, the main thing that sets this apart from Jedi Revan is pretty much, the different soft goods. So his skirt has all the battle damage or just like tears on it that make it look a bit more Sith-like. And then, of course, he actually has a cape, which has a similar pattern. So those are the two things that kind of set them apart. But one thing I do want to point out is here we have the Jedi version, which I reviewed recently. And I do like the soft plastic hood, but there's a little bit of a problem with it. So here you can see I'd actually have him in a nice saber swipe pose. And typically if you're cutting down your opponent, you're kind of still looking forward, even though your torso is kind of turned the other way. And when you do that, the soft plastic hood kind of raises up, unfortunately, which doesn't look super natural. So it would have been nice if maybe they did something where it was like a two-parter, where this part sits on the shoulders, but the hood moves independently as the head moves. So that's just something that would have been nice. I know they can get pretty thin with these plastics, but maybe that was just too much of a challenge. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to point out. But circling back to Revan's Sith look, here you can see he has both of his sabers, which is not included with the Jedi version. Here he has one of his red Sith versions, and I will say that it's a little bit strange that on the cardback image they actually have this one particularly with the red ignited blade, where here you can see it's purple, and that's just a little funny, when the card is a little different than the actual figure. There's lots of different images online where Revan actually has this one as purple, and it's kind of a character that you build to play, it can be customized, so I'm not really too mad about it. But yeah, all in all, a good looking figure. And of course, just like the other one, it's got the new style hips underneath. It's just different paint applications making him Sith. So he's going to have ball jointed everything, rocker ankles, hinges on these wrists that allow him to actually put his sabers kind of back up like that behind him. And yeah, a really good looking figure. And taking a look at the helmets, you can see there's some noticeable paint differences between Jedi Knight Revan and this Sith release. Jedi Knight Revan has that gunmetal color to it, and also a little bit of copper detailing around the visor, while the Sith one is a bit more simplified. It's just that nice black color with red and silver paint deco hits. So really good stuff there, and I've always liked this helmet design, and it's got some really good rotation there on that barbell joint. But of course that's a little bit hindered when you put that soft plastic hood on, but you can also display him like this, and I think he'll look really nice. Taking a look at the soft goods cape on the back, mine's a bit folded up here, which kind of looks good, but when you unfold it and just get the full cape, it also looks really nice. Sometimes those capes are a little too big, particularly with like Darth Vader's, but I think this looks fantastic. And of course, it's got that detailing that makes it look a little bit more battle damaged and just evil in general. So that looks really cool. And yeah, this is a really good figure. It's got lots of articulation. It's got a bit of a crunch there. It can also have a swivel there at the waist. And then one thing I will say is that it's pretty close to a 90-degree angle here in terms of the elbow joint. But because of the sculpting, it's just a little bit little bit shy of that. And they've done a better job here. Some of our more recent figures have had some incredible sculpting, but it is hindering their 90-degree angle of like their elbow articulation. So I think this came off pretty good. And you know, for somebody who's going to be wielding sabers, you want them to be very articulated. And the other thing I will point out is that once I got that Jedi Knight Revan and I started posing in, setting up some photos, I initially liked the soft plastic. I'm like okay with it, but I think it's a bit of a bummer because when he starts to crouch down, his skirt will go up, you know, naturally, but this does not. So it touches the floor. It's always going to sit the same height as if he were standing or crouching, and like kind of rest on the floor, and it just looks a little awkward. So I think a soft goods material moving forward would be a bit smarter in my opinion. It's safe to say that Knights of the Old Republic characters are a very welcome addition to the vintage collection, and a proper Darth Revan has been at the top of that wish list for many within the community. This all new from the ground up release is a hefty improvement over the inaccurate and less critically acclaimed 30th anniversary collection release from 2007. Fortunately, this Dark Lord of the Sith is armed with new style barbell hips, ball jointed everything, hinges at the wrists, and rocker ankles, making him a fearsome opponent for any figures on your shelf display. While the articulation is superb to say the least, it is slightly hindered by areas of the sculpting where a 90-degree bend is not quite achievable. Furthermore, while the addition of softgoods skirt is always preferred, the plastic tabard looks awkward during most fighting stances as it does not conform to the body as well as soft goods. Lastly, I really think Hasbro should consider including unlit saber hilts with more regularity. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at another latest addition to the vintage collection, Darth Revan from Knights of the Old Republic. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.